detective, thrill me.
G'day everyone, Thrill Me Podcast back again. Got my two co-hosts, Matty, Gibbo.
G'day.
How we going?
Yeah.
The usual.
Better movies wouldn't hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Usual.
Well, you should be used to it by now, shouldn't you?
This is basically just like a sleeping pill wrapped up as a movie.
Well, just to sort of spruce you up and get you a bit more lively, we'll go for a bit of up or down to start. And you've brought a horror movie to the table, which is very unlike you.
Well, if they're good, I'm on board.
Yeah. So let us in on that one.
So it's one I saw a trailer for a couple of days ago. It's produced by the same crew that did the movie The Witch, which is one of my favourite horrors of all time. It's up there with Babadook and that sort of stuff. Very similar sort of thing. I don't really go for the slasher stuff that you guys like. I'm more about the psychological, that sort of thing. And this one, Hereditary, looks really a lot down that trail. It's got Toni Collette and pretty much no one else that I really recognised. But the trailer looks amazing. It just looks right up my alley. As far as horror movies go, it got a lot of good feedback from a lot of the film festival scene. I'm super keen to check it out when I can.
Yeah, I'm definitely an up. Now that I've seen that trailer, I'd heard plenty about the buzz, and there's a lot of clickbait going around about scariest movie ever and all that sort of stuff, which is always, you take it with a grain of salt. But
they said that about the Blair Witch too. So.
Yeah, but that trailer is really unsettling.
Yeah.
Creepy looking people, which is always something that messes me up a little bit.
Especially child actors.
But there's a couple of really unsettling scenes, like that guy looking at his own reflection that's smiling at him, and it looks much more along the lines of crafting scares rather than
jumps and gore and shit. Yeah.
So definitely an up. Might be one that I might just have to nip out of the cinema halfway and recompose myself.
I thought it was a quick toilet break, guys.
Didn't wear the brown underpants for nothing.
What do you think, Matty?
It looks sensational. Anything with Toni Collette's shown, she's got a lot of versatility in what she can do, and
she's still really underrated, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it just looks like visually it looks pretty spectacular. You've got she's creating these doll houses or whatever it is, and then that's
just creepy straight away. As soon as you start doing something with doll houses, it's creepy.
Yeah, you've automatically created an extra dimension. So there's something definitely and that's supernatural. And anytime you're comparing a movie to The Exorcist, you're going to have me in there. So
did you ever see The Witch?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Check that out.
Have you guys? You haven't done a pod on it yet?
No.
It's pretty recent. But it was this guy's basically he wrote it and was chasing funding for ages and no one to do it because it's very period.
Yep.
It's like old English sort of thing, like when they were first in America, like super religious, really devout stuff. It's kind of like what it looks very like M. Night Shyamalan's The Village, but done properly without the stupid twist at the end. It's the same sort of thing. They're really unsettling. And it's a lot of intra-family stuff with their religious beliefs, and obviously there's a witch element to it.
Yeah.
But fuck, man, you got to watch it. It's really good.
We'll get on it.
Definitely parallels. They both look like they got plenty to say. Like The Witch was definitely commentary on some of that stuff you were talking about, and this one definitely looks like it's taking an angle on what did it say, something about what you inherit from your parents and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's right.
So
he's a pretty talented writer. Anyway, if he's doing the same sort of thing, if he's involved with this one, I'll be right on board.
All right, so I brought something with probably as much depth as what you were just talking about.
No doubt.
The Rock, Skyscraper. He seems to be my favourite subject in the up or down is The Rock. But Skyscraper definitely looks like his Die Hard. He's swinging for the fences.
Just a little bit.
It's like, what if I did Die Hard but the building was bigger and more modern and I only had one leg? How would that go?
Next level.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to get glass in his feet, so that's a win.
Yeah. Look, it's nothing that you don't expect in the preview. I must say I'm probably middle. I usually love The Rock stuff, but I'm just kind of like, it's just so down the line that I can't. There's nothing that's really getting me. I mean, even Rampage, I'm like, we got giant gorillas and The Rock. That's all I need. But this one's like, but we've seen the big building, and as you mentioned, we've seen him with the disaster.
This just reeked of San Andreas to me.
Guys with headsets and
Yeah.
talking to each other with bigger guns than you have.
I'm looking forward to him
Not
doing
physical.
the whole taking down a crew of people that are trying to take over the building thing. So, yeah, I'm middle of the road on this one.
All right, well, that's surprising. I'll be up. I'm actually up.
Hey, there we go.
Mate, anything that's Die Hard, I'll do it.
I show you enough Rock trailers and you get dumb enough to say, that one looks good.
No, mate, I'll go out for most of the Rock stuff. Like, I'd rather watch this than the Rampage thing, to be honest. It looks a little bit just like, ugh, how can we get something out of a property? This is clearly a Die Hard ripoff. Even down to the Asian connection, the set design and stuff in some of the scenes, it just looks like the Asian floor in the Nakatomi Plaza where they've got the little models and stuff. It looks very similar. Quick shout out to Adzi too. Went to the Nakatomi Plaza the other day.
Did.
Didn't get in there and find out where Bonnie Bedelia was hiding. But, it's been interesting to see his little travels over there.
Yeah, he's enjoying himself.
But definitely a hard up for me on this one. I'll be there checking it out.
All right, Matty.
I'm still waiting for that moment where I get rock fatigue. I'm not sure I'm there yet, but it looks. I think when you go into that movie, you're going to know exactly what it is. So,
Yeah.
I don't think you'll be disappointed, but I don't think you can expect too much different. I guess from that genre of film, what you're going to get. So
It looks like a tone down from one of his last offerings, though, with Fast 8. Because, God, that was a steaming pile of just stupid shit blowing up.
Oh, man.
sounds like you got rock fatigue.
I was this close to buying the box the other day and just doing the run through all of them again. I think I might this week.
You've got to skip number 2.
I'm doing a lot.
They're such different movies.
I'm a completionist.
One is, it's this little local, like, street racing thing. 2, they start sort of venturing out as being to, like, little henchman things. And then after that, they're international crime fucking masterminds.
I thought Tokyo Drift was the kind of outlier. Because
It
it was
is.
the one that didn't have Diesel or Walker.
Yeah.
And before The Rock came along. And
4 is where it really kicks in.
yeah.
And then 5 is one of the proper good ones. But
Basically, the word I've got is 4 to 7 are the ones that are going to get you, ones that are going to hit what you want to hit.
yeah.
All right, so we'll go straight into the trailer for 1976's Carrie.
It's the night of the senior prom. The Bates High School gym is alive with excitement. Everybody is there, even Carrie White. The girl no one likes.
We're all sorry about this incident, Cassie.
It's Carrie!
And everyone makes fun of her. The girl who lives in that creepy house with her crazy mother.
Help the sinning woman see the sin of her days and ways. Show her that if she had remained sinless, the curse of blood would never have come on her.
The girl with the strange power.
If I concentrate hard enough, I can move things.
But tonight, no one will laugh at Carrie.
If you don't have a date for the prom next Friday, would you like to go with me?
She's with the best-looking boy in the senior class.
He's trying to trick me again.
She'll be voted queen of the prom.
You know, I can make sure that you don't hurt Carrie White anymore.
For Carrie, it will be a dream come true. For everyone else, it will be a nightmare. Carrie. A new film by Brian De Palma. Based on the chilling bestseller. Starring Sissy Spacek, Piper Laurie, and introducing John Travolta in his first motion picture role. If you have a taste for terror, you have a date with Carrie.
Carrie from 1976. That's fucking a long time ago, Jesus. Sissy Spacek is Carrie, Piper Laurie as Margaret White, Amy Irving as Sue Snell, William Catt as Tommy Ross, Big JT Travolta, Johnny, as Billy Knoll, an early sighting, and Nancy Allen as Chris Hargensen. Directed by Brian De Palma, who had a few movies that people might have heard of. Scarface, The Untouchables, and Carlito's Way.
Did a few okay things in his time.
A few little pieces in there. Produced by Paul Monash, Louis Stroller, Brian De Palma. And then the budget was only 1.8 million, which is an estimate, but that's pretty low. I think most of that was probably spent on Travolta's hair. And it actually grossed nearly 34 million in the US. So did all right. The budget was pretty low, and one of the main reasons was probably because they only gave Stephen King $2.5 grand for the rights to make this.
He got hammered on that one.
Oh,
He
Stephen.
But he's been known to sell books for like $1 and stuff too, hasn't he? Like he's pretty
He does.
cool about that sort of stuff.
He's got, for college students, he's got a program called the $1 Babies.
Yeah.
So if you're a college student, you want to make a Stephen King story as one of your student films, he'll give you the rights for $1.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
I think the deal is that he owns the rights to the film or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's how Frank Darabont got in touch with him, and he went on to do Shawshank, Green Mile. So
there you go, make a connection.
Yep.
And Walking Dead.
Yes.
So this is actually the first Stephen King. Stephen Kong.
We're on the horror episode.
King Kong.
Mate.
First Stephen King novel. I was trying to say king and novel in one word. Adapted into a movie. So there's obviously been plenty since then. Plenty better ones, that's for sure. While he was speaking at a book event in Florida in 2010, he spoke about how he was only given $2,500 for the movie rights for this one, and he thought it wasn't much, but he said he didn't have any regrets because he was fortunate to have that happen to his first book anyway. So
yeah, because I think it was his first printed book and then the first one he sold, but I think didn't he chuck it out? He wrote a draft and then chucked it out, and his wife convinced him that this is all right, stick with it, and that was the first one he sold. So
Jesus.
There you go, Stephen.
All right,
giving us plenty of good stuff to cover on the podcast since.
Yes, we've. He's got so much, man.
Yeah,
Fuck, he's done some work. The drugs obviously helped him for a while there, but still, just his sheer volume, it's pretty impressive.
And he's still churning stuff.
The amount of remakes of films based on his stuff is more than the 99% of filmmakers will ever have on their whole.
I just wish they'd do a good version of The Stand.
Yeah, well, I think that's on the cards again.
Yeah,
so
it's got to be
basically
now.
every Stephen King book or movie that's already been made is now back on the cards again. Like, it's just he's got so much.
You got to have the right person doing it though, because
and the other thing is
it could have gone wrong. Because of the people they were doing it with.
But he's writing. I mean, some of his recent books are pretty good too. Like I've read. I read something like Revival, which was kind of cool. It wasn't one of his best, but I really enjoyed that book. He's got, I think, Mr. Mercedes is one that's being made into a movie now. He's got the one about JFK. It was on Stan. They made it into a TV show. 11, whatever. It's a date, and it's basically about the guy that goes back to the JFK killings. Like, yeah. So we're not going to be seeing the end of Stephen King for a long time,
which is fair enough because the guy can write a story.
Yep.
Well, you want to kick...
I want to you kick it off.
Yeah, you kick it off. Why not?
Because you're going to blow up when I give my score.
I'm not sure what...
Armand White in the back of the house.
I was just bored out of my mind, to be honest. Like, I know this is an old movie, but we've done a few of these movies, which are like, wow, this is a big scary movie, then you go back and watch it now and it's just nothing happening. This movie is nothing happening for 90% of it. At the end, when stuff finally starts kicking in, great, but I was just bored the whole time. I get that it's probably like a little bit of a cult classic for its period and stuff like that, and obviously Stephen having made it his first one, Stephen Kong. I get the nostalgia value of it, but I hadn't really seen this version. I actually saw the remake before I saw this, and I prefer the remake 10 times out of 10 easily. I just find Sissy Spacek is probably a really good casting for it, but she's so hard to look at, and the rest of the movie is just boring. I was just bored. I'm gonna go with like a 1.5.
Oh my god.
Oh man. Wow.
Conan's got one more star than this.
It was way more enjoyable.
Oh shit.
Enough orgies.
This could have been about an hour and a half shorter. I would have been happy. I would have brought it back to 0.
All right. Well, I'll go next. I'll probably sit in the middle somewhere. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely part of it's definitely a it's a nostalgia thing for sure. But the funny thing is, I'd seen this once, and it was a long, long time ago. So it was definitely just in the memory. Then the off impersonated kind of prom scene, and this time around I was like, there was parts of it where I was probably thinking the same as you. It was a little bit slow and took a little bit to get going, but it was Stephen King taking a few shots at religion and some bullying and that sort of thing. I actually I enjoyed it. I reckon I probably ended up at about a 3.5, but it was really well directed. Brian De Palma probably should take a lot of the credit for stretching out the parts that I did enjoy and making them as enjoyable. There was definitely stuff I didn't like. I felt some of the characters were almost too extreme, but yeah, did the job for me. 3.5. It probably would have been a 4, but the movie's aged, and elements of the way that the people act and stuff have aged pretty badly.
Yeah,
and that's bound to happen. But the good parts of it are still really good. So 3.5.
So, you'll have to tell me what they are later on.
I've got a lot of what the same. I guess the same views as you, Jad. But I guess I had to give it a pass for some of the dating because I guess I watched it when I was a kid.
Yeah,
and that was probably one of the first 2 horror movies that I'd ever seen.
Yep.
And so that was sort of the benchmark. And watching it again, just I was waiting for certain things to happen, and then just seeing, I guess, how they represented the school and how different that is. I just loved it. The payoff at the end. I know I was waiting to see how much actual violence there is in it, and it sort of doesn't kick in until there's 15 minutes to go, and the violence actually only goes for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but it's just such
intense.
It's such a big payoff for how much of a prick everybody is to her. And I loved it. I gave it 4 stars. Again, like I said, I said you were going to blow up. But
no, it's more just kind of
I was going to move my chair across. I'm about to get a fist.
More just a stony glare at the moment.
I think a vein just popped in his head. But I guess I was just laughing at some of the little things and the little characters in it, and just the whole way along, I knew it was building and building and building, and just some of the performances are so iconic and just pops up in pop culture, and the Simpsons or just the blood falling down from the bucket. It's just
that's been done many times,
so many times, because I guess it's such a great payoff. Like I said, at the end of the film,
it's iconic. And I think, like we spoke about, the updates and the remake and that sort of thing. And I think the remake seemed like it was one of the ones that probably could have been relevant because they brought things like cyberbullying into the mix and updated that sort of stuff. So that was one of those remakes where I was on board. I was like, yeah, there's definitely value here. We'll kick straight into the likes. I think Sissy Spacek looks spot on.
Like an alien.
She looks like what you would imagine. I know in the book she was a bit different. I think that she described her as a bit sort of overweight and pimples and all this sort of stuff. But pretty much the character that he's put together, she just inhabits exactly that.
Yeah.
She does such a good job of being that scared girl.
Yeah.
Like, even though she'd compare her to Helen, the chubby girl with the glasses who fits in with the cool kids.
Yeah.
She's accepted because she's acting normally. But then you've got Carrie, who probably looks more the part, like she could fit in with the cool kids. But because she's so weird and walking around with blood on her hands, everyone's freaked out by her. She's the creepy kid that everyone picks on, and
and the whole
that was amazing.
The way she was wearing her hair and the whole eyes like dinner plates the whole time. Times
except she's hiding. She's hiding as well. The whole beginning of the movie, she just uses it as a closing the shutters on the whole world.
Yep.
The thing is creepy about her, she's got like blonde eyelashes and eyebrows, and it kind of looks like she's got none because they're so pale. So her eyes just look like there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when she puts the makeup on, like Matty said, at the thing at the end, she actually looks pretty standard.
Yeah.
It's just...
No, I think that was part of it. You wanted her to say, oh, look, if we treated her well and we taught her how to be a normal person, then maybe she could come good.
It's clear that it's all her mum's fault. Because she says, I'm funny and all that sort of stuff. Like, she's got like a lot of normality to her, where her mum's just a fucking lunatic.
plenty of freckles too, and that's true to form. I never saw a kid with that many freckles get through high school without a little bit of pepper coming their way. Not necessarily from myself, but I actually initially I was a bit down on how how weird she was. But as it went along, I was kind of felt it like heightened the sense of isolation, like how different she was. Because initially I was like, oh, it's kind of like a caricature to start, but then eventually like, nah, the normal, so-called normal girls are so different to her, and it just heightens the sense of she's ostracised. There's nobody like her. She's just by herself. Out. It's sort of it puts you in her corner basically because they're so different and they're so cruel.
Yeah.
So yeah,
she has these sort of flashes where somebody will support her a bit, and you're like, you feel so sorry for her.
Yeah.
But then you've got the teacher ripping into her. And just everybody else. The principal can't pronounce their name
one,
right.
Five times he calls her Cassie.
And it's so good.
First,
it's so funny.
You okay, Cassie? We're all really sorry about it because clearly he's just trying to cover his ass too.
Yeah.
We're very sorry about the incident.
That scene's really good because it starts off with the teacher, who's one of the few characters that genuinely cares about her throughout the movie. That he
still gets murdered, mind you.
I know, yeah, talking to the principal, but and he looks like, yeah, I'm on board with this, and then he makes we've got Cassie, whatever, and then continues to call the wrong name, and it's like, he doesn't give a fuck either.
Yeah.
You know, she's got nothing. You know, the teacher that's
he's just doing it to cover his ass.
Even the teacher that's fighting for her is like, I wanted to slap her too. She doesn't.
Well, she
she's
did,
had
didn't
enough.
she?
She
hit her in the face. Well, yeah.
There's a lot of face hitting for no reason on ladies in this movie.
Yeah, there's plenty of it. But yeah, it shows that she's just even that teacher that cares about her is going to get nowhere. It's I thought that was really good. I think that maybe they went over the top with getting the names wrong, because at first it was kind of it hit you. It had the impact, and then he did it like 4 more times or 3 more times. But the impact was there. But yeah, I really like that. Kind of the same thing. Her mum. Initially, I'm like, she's just too over the top. And I think I mentioned to you guys, I read somewhere, it might have been on IMDb, so again, probably bullshit, but it sounds good. It's she was convinced through the filming that it was a black comedy, and had to, De Palma had to tell her this is a horror flick, and she still to this day says black comedy.
That's how she plays it.
So she was just batshit crazy, but again, it works because it places her in this realm of just fucking lunatic.
I love the mum. Her mood change when she's at Sue Snell's house. And
when she tries to give her the money.
Oh, I see. Takes the money. But I see.
Yeah, classic church.
Yeah, and just just so many moments. And then at the end where she's stabbing her own daughter, she's made that decision.
Yeah.
And she's just like
so happy about
smiling and ethereal almost.
But even like the representation of it, the whole, that she's the representation of religion, and it's like, it's all fucking smiles and all this sort of stuff and pious and whatever, but the whole time you're like, there's this fucking undercurrent. You are, exactly. And it's kind of, representing Stephen King's feelings on.
I felt she was so good at just sort of breaking up the bullying bits, and then she's like sitting there chopping up vegetables and chopping up nothing on the board. You just like, it's just, she broke up, the mum just broke up everything, I guess the life that Carrie had. I loved it.
I'm with you though. Wouldn't you just be fucking out the door? Fuck off.
Yeah.
Mate, I would have punched her in the neck straight away.
Munchausen syndrome thing. Did I say that right? I don't know. But
what's that?
Munchausen's, that's when you're told you've got diseases you don't have, I think.
What is
Stockholm
it?
syndrome.
Stockholm, yeah. So she's just like held captive. She doesn't know any different.
Yeah.
And creepy when she pops out from behind the door. She's waiting for her to come home from
That's right.
From we're all going to laugh at you from the prom or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she's just... It's just creepy, that door
She's very creepy. It was actually kind of... I don't think it would have achieved that same level if it wasn't so over the top.
Yeah.
Like she was just...
Patting, the way she pats Carrie afterwards. It's just, like you said, the black comedy thing, but it's so unnerving. She's one of the most diabolical characters ever. Like
launching into those rants and like a preacher. Like, it's just,
slapping her daughter with the magazine.
Yeah, in the face. When
say it.
Oh, that whole scene where she's, where she has the period and she comes over and she's like, you should have told me, Mum. Her mum's fucking explanation of what's happened and whose fault it is. Dead set. Like, that's a double drop kick to the chest moment, that one. Like, oh, this you've had sinful thoughts, so God has sent this to like. No, it's biology. You fucking mole. Like, this is, your daughter's clearly traumatized by your just neglect.
Yeah.
And your first instinct is to blame her and lock her in a fucking cupboard.
Yeah.
And you sort of start fist pumping a bit when she's using her power. She's like, no, things are gonna be different.
Oh yeah, I love that bit.
And it doesn't last because it's not the power. Like I was watching it, I guess, through different eyes as an adult, where you're like looking for themes and things, and that whole what would happen if the girl that was picked on the whole time, what would happen if she had more power than every single person in the room put together?
A little bit of wish fulfillment there.
Yeah, but it's just I guess the reactions are pretty impactful.
Yeah. John Travolta. I
Great
don't know
hair.
why he's alike, but he looks like an absolute fucking goon.
Dude, I giggled every time. He's doing a weird accent.
Yeah,
and every time he's drinking a beer, he's just pouring it down his own chin.
And he constantly, he just kind of looks there and smiles and grins, and then looks to his side. Like he's driving the car, he's just like looking to the side and then grins, and he's like, it's like, what the
He checks himself out in the mirror a bunch of times.
And his head looks like someone split a watermelon in half, painted it black, and squished a side on it. It's just this big, massive thing just sitting on top
Black
of his
helmet.
head.
He's drinking a beer in pretty much every scene as well. He's under the stairs, a beer.
Every single time his chin is just dripping with piss.
Yeah.
Very strange.
I found him funny.
I had him as a late. I had John Travolta's hair. Was my comment, but
And I think again that was probably intentional because him and especially one of the other guys, the guy that's trying to get the votes, and he's talking about, I want to get on the committee. You can make that happen, can't you? And he's like, can you be there at 6? Can't be there at 6. I can be there at 8.
he's like, sounds good.
Yeah, those guys, him and Travolta, they're just a pair of fucking ball bags, but. Again, it sort of works. It's just like all those characters are like heightened just to
make you know who they are.
Yeah.
The
But
caricatures.
at the same time, there is some depth because they spread it across everyone, like the different emotions that people are feeling in response to the shit. Like, Sue is probably the most important of them because she's the remorseful one and instigates the take her to the prom and give her something, you know, because she's been treated like shit. And
it's a pretty big sacrifice, right? You're senior prom, you're not going to go to it.
And so, you know, having Chris just being just the most evil bitch, it's sort of it's depth by giving each one of them something to represent, kind of. Not that there's one particular character that's like super complicated, but there is the different emotions are represented. And then, of course, you got the Travoltas and that are so fucking stupid. They don't know what's going on. They're just... You know,
I'll hit this pig.
Yeah,
that's why I can understand why you get pissed off if you come to watch a horror movie and they're sitting there trying on suits and tuxedos and things with that cheesy,
I like the
popping
t-shirt
music
tucks,
in the background. I can see how you might get frustrated.
See, I had a bit in that too, and I'm assuming it wasn't supposed to be in the movie, but I had a bit where it went to like 2 times speed.
Yeah.
Was that actually in the movie?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that actually in
did
there?
that on purpose.
What the fuck is
Super
that about?
weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I missed
I
it.
thought
tried some things. He tried
I thought it was
some
just like because I watched it on Stan.
Yeah.
And I thought it must have been just an error, but
Nah.
He just watched Conan the Barbarian and he was like, I'm going to hurry this up.
that's weird then because it just goes like they talk like chipmunks for a second and then it's back to normal.
It felt like he got a couple of lines that he didn't want, and because he couldn't cut it to anything else, he's just like, I'm going to speed this
that's
up.
a strange choice.
It was weird. Yeah,
I gave it
really
the credit
weird.
there. I thought, it's just obviously an error with the data file, like the digital copy of this.
It could have been because I watched it on Stan as well. So, but I think it was. I think that's
it was
legit.
in there.
I can't help but laugh every time, but when her mum calls her breasts dirty pillows.
The dirty pillows. I can see your dirty pillows, and everyone will too. Dirty pillows. I just had a shower, and they're barely pillows.
Dirty pillows. It's a pin cushion.
Dirty hacky sacks, maybe. It is a really cringy thing to call them, though.
Oh yeah, it was classic. It just added to the mum's like character, you know, like just coming up with those random, like just that random name at that
it's sort of a bit of a like Bates, like in Annie Bates in Misery, the Dirty Bird. It's that whole the person's a psychopath because she can't use normal words for things.
they haven't had the interaction with anyone that's just like, what the fuck did you just say? Dirty pillows? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's right. It's you laugh at it, but the fact that she's using that as a normal word
highlights how fucking out of touch.
That's right.
Yep.
But Misery, good Stephen King adaptation into a movie. Didn't like Misery.
Not as much. It's good.
Fucking
the hobbling
Misery 1,000 times.
The hobbling is unbelievable.
You two should have like a podcast, just like a head-to-head podcast.
No, you're wrong, mate. You're wrong.
I liked it, but I preferred this. I guess again, it's the nostalgia thing though. Probably is affecting my judgment. As
So
it does
much more happens
As
in
it
that.
does, I get a lot more excited about things that I watched when I was like 8.
Oh, we all do.
9 or 10.
You still like
Marlboro
UHF,
Man.
don't you? You still like was that is Weird Al's movie?
Weird Al, the video.
You love it. It's terrible.
Quote it from beginning to end. I didn't say I was here for a good time, just a long time.
So the prank, it's super cruel, and like the depth that they go into and how cruel it actually is. I think that's the strength. Whereas you said it was long, it kept on just growing and growing, the sense of how cruel the thing was, because you spent time with her and her mother and saw how much her mother was restricting her from being normal.
Yeah.
And so as it went along, that time that was a little bit slow in parts, it just kind of heightened that this is just fucked. You know, like,
We all knew what the twist was going to be as well. Imagine watching that for the first time, not knowing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it gets to that point. It's a pretty horrendous thing to do, right?
Did the bucket kill quarterback Tim?
Yes, I believe so.
Killed him. Knocked him out.
Yeah, well, I think that's what it. No,
They're saying that it's killed him.
I think,
really?
As far as I know, it's supposed to be that it killed him, but in the movie, it's kind of a little bit vague. But I think that's what really sets her off
everything on fire
as well.
Oh, okay. Because he's gone.
Yeah.
I thought they did a really good job of her fake understanding of what's going on. Everyone's just shocked except for that one person, but then who's laughing at it. But then you've got everybody else is just like in shock, and then it turns into her mind. The mum's talking, and we're all very sorry, Cassie, in the background. And it's always, I thought that was great. I loved it.
That character you're talking about, the one that starts laughing before everyone else, she's my least favourite fucking movie character in a long time.
Really?
Fuck, she was a cockhead.
Yeah, she's pretty ordinary.
She's dressed like Super Mario.
Just laughing at everything, dressed like it. Like, how is she the popular kid?
But it seems like, it's more
idiot.
like it's representing, again, it's just like another ankle, and she's just the kid that seems along for the ride. I'll just laugh at anyone and be the yes.
Oh, she just bugged the shit out of me because she looks like a fuckwit too.
She does, and she's wearing a hat at the prom too, isn't she?
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's like you said, Super Mario fucking hat. Like, where do you think you are?
She's got the full kit on at the beginning.
Yeah.
Go back and have a look. It's the overalls with a red t-shirt on.
She's just such a...
It's a Punky Brewster, was it?
It was a little bit Pippi Longstocking, Punky Brewster. Just dickhead.
Yeah, but I think, as you said, like the prom especially goes for ages. And the way that he's having a conversation with her, and she's just like thinking, this is it. This is what I need.
This is what I missed out on, yeah.
And it's really sad because you kind of know that something's in the offing and you don't really know what it is.
I kept waiting for him to turncoat too, because
it
seems weird that he's in a relationship with Sue, who's clearly like one of the good kids.
Yeah.
And he's doing this under duress and then just all of a sudden starts falling for her. Like,
I kept feeling like he was in on it in some way.
I'm pretty sure from what I remember of the remake, I think he might have more to do with the prank.
Right.
What?
Well, I don't know
I haven't seen it for a long time. I saw it when it first came out. I saw it when it first came out, so I'll have to go back and check it out. Yeah,
but it's all that lead up stuff just makes as Matty said, the payoff better because you're constantly like something's going to happen, so you're just kind of watching it going, oh man, don't enjoy it. You're sitting there kind of saying, don't enjoy it as much as you are because it's going to
fall for it.
Up, like stupid bitch. Yeah, it's cruel in that regard. Once the prank hits, 10 minutes of just real good stuff. De Palma doing that split screen stuff.
The whole thing goes red.
Yeah,
because she blows the lights out and it's just emergency lighting.
That's it. That's the spinning stuff where he's like in sort of her head of everyone. Being, they're all gonna laugh at you like it. Like
but dude, he does that. He plays around with the screen a bit as well. With sort of there's
like
an image,
kaleidoscope thing.
And and then the image slides across the screen, and then you're seeing something else horrible happening underneath. Like, there's a bit of that going on. I liked it.
Yeah, all that stuff was really good. That was probably the best part of the movie. It kind of, if that hadn't have been as strong, then perhaps my score would have been a little bit lower because you would have been waiting for something really epic to happen, but it actually did. Yeah. So you kind of, you're really happy with that sort of thing. The ending was really good, I thought. Like the her going back to the mum and all that sort of stuff was fine. I like that, but it's the first movie I remember in my personal experience with the little sting at the end, and it was kind of cool. I was happy that Sue survived as well. Like of all, even the teacher who'd been on her side, but she got hammered. He died. Tommy died. Like everyone died, but so I'm like, okay, if it's going to be someone, it's got to be her. But even she's left with the scars. And,
absolutely.
I don't know whether it was ever trying to set anything up, which was good too, because it wasn't. It seemed like it was before that kind of thing was in vogue, that we've got to do a sting just in case there's a sequel.
Yeah.
It seemed like the intention really was to have a little bit of a kicker and
a cliffhanger.
And have a little bit of,
That's your coda, right?
She's still left with it. I believe in the other remake, the TV remake that's actually on Netflix as well, which apparently is longer and even worse. So
definitely worse.
Don't go near that.
No, I've seen it.
Did you watch that?
It's terrible.
You peanut. You should have left that one alone. Yeah. But that was supposed to be a TV pilot, so Carrie and Sue survived, don't they? Or did they re-edit? Carrie and
someone merged together for me, but yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think Carrie and Sue were supposed to survive, and then that was the show. They go off somewhere together.
When I was a kid, that was the scariest thing I'd ever seen, that hand coming out of the ground.
Yeah. It's very,
it's minimalist but effective.
Yeah, exactly, because at the time, that stuff wasn't the thing to do, so you didn't have to spruce it up with fucking smoke and mirrors. And, I mean, we were, not that long ago, we were talking about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and I Know What You Did Last Summer, and that's like the other end of the spectrum, like the bullshit sting endings. Yeah. This one was the one where it's just the original kind of take on things. Just we do what we want to do. There's no preconceived notions that we have to stick to, and so
I just found some of the bit at the end when the house is going down. I found it so difficult to watch when her mum's been crucified and she's like retreating into the cupboard.
Pose.
Yeah, and she's like retreating into the cupboard, and her mum's hand is still stuck in the wall, and she's just dragging this hand. The range of emotions that go on in that scene are just, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It's something different.
Creepy glowing eyes Jesus statue.
That thing's a dislike.
That was messed up.
It's like half Jesus statue, half like voodoo doll looking thing.
Yeah.
But if you got the craziest mother in the world, the most religious person, she's got to have the most extreme Jesus Christ that you can get.
And the fact that they had her like she's basically like shot for shot of that Jesus statue, because he's got the little arrows in him instead, because it's supposed to be just a spear wound and the crucifixion. Yeah. But in that one, he's got arrows and stuff in him, and then when she ends up getting all the fucking knives and stuff,
same pattern.
It's very on the nose about how it's like that, but it's also like it all ties it back together.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
You liked it. You're bumping it up.
You're still looking a little bit kind of. You're ready to tee off now that we kind of.
I didn't even write down many dislikes, to be honest.
Right. Any other likes, Matty?
I was so bored.
Yeah. I got pretty excited watching Tommy just because the greatest American hero.
Yes! That's
TV
what I was
credit.
That's where I knew this bloke. I was sitting there going, where is he from?
I'm walking on air.
Yeah, that was where it was like, I was like, he's so familiar. And then once that hit, that song was in my head.
When we got here
for
and
the
looked
rest
at
of
the
the
cast
day.
list, I'm like, fuck, that's right, I've got to look up like that bloke and see what else he did, because I knew his stupid face from somewhere. And that hair, that is a serious halo of just golden locks.
I
No one could take him seriously. Imagine him running at you on a football field. You just aim at the bloke.
Yeah.
I got him
some
covered.
work.
Thanks.
Took some work.
It's a lot of curling. Bloody hell.
Yeah. I don't know. But I love the teacher. The teacher cracked me up so much. Because
she slapped her, or
the one from Once Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the English teacher. I don't know, it's only a little thing. But him doing that whole scene with the poem, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And then I love how they brought that back at the end. It's like, it's because you liked my poem. And then he's like, I didn't write it.
I don't know how anyone thought that he did it. Like, he clearly didn't write that.
You can tell he's sitting there and he's just kind of like smirking.
I loved it. I thought that's a little thing that really cracked me up.
When he says that line too, like they're almost talking about, and then he says like, "Your shit" or something like that, or
under his breath.
Under his breath. Is he talking to the teacher or to Carrie?
No, to the teacher.
Because then he says, I said, "Oh shucks."
Yeah. And he's smirking to him.
I wasn't sure if he was saying it to Carrie because she just said the thing about his poem. I'm like, that's a bit harsh, bro.
Yeah. But I think I think that adds to the power dynamic, right?
At that point, it would have been the least harsh thing that had been done to her.
The power dynamic of she's shit. Even if you know it's the wrong thing, nobody is willing to step up. No one's willing to say it's. No one even apologizes to her after they've done all this shit to her. Instead, they're going the subversive way. Take her to prom, and even though that's cruel in itself, like he has no real intention of. It's a stupid plan, and he has no intention of seeing her afterwards. But
the fact that what's her name? The main. Is it? The main, the meanest girl, like the big blood. Chris
Hargensen.
I kept thinking Charlie. When Chris does it, like, she's basically doing all this to her because she got in trouble for doing something mean to this girl. The girl didn't do anything to her.
Chris is the she's up there with the mum in terms of the most psychopathic people in it.
And that scene in the car, run her down.
That scene, I'm surprised that isn't under your likes. That scene where she's in the car and she's just fucking around with John Travolta's head and she's going down on him, and then she goes, "I hate Carrie." He's like, "What?
Who's that?"
That was the funniest thing. I burst out laughing when that happened. That was hilarious.
But that whole interaction with them in the car, though, it was very strange.
But it's just her manipulating.
She's like sucking on his finger and stuff, and then he's like, "Yeah, here we go," and then she's like pulls his hair and like pushes him away. And it's like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Well, that's it. And she's
clearly
setting
a
him up.
sociopath.
Yeah, she was psychotic. I love that.
What other likes do you guys have?
I'm exhausted.
Big surprise, none left.
Righto. I thought that was a fair amount of likes. I thought we sort of covered things in depth, or as in depth as we can go. But
what else you got, Matty?
I thought we've had enough. I enjoyed it. We've got good villains. We've got ambiguous bad guys in it. I thought it was good. Got a decent storyline.
This is great. I might just sit back and just watch you two go at it. That's good stuff. Well, we may as well head into the dislikes. You're itching to get there.
Kick it off.
Sure.
You give us the first one.
How about the softcore porn fucking just completely objectifying women at the start? The shower scene with Sissy Spacek is 5 minutes of a young, well, what you're led to believe is a young girl sudsing herself and then having a period. That is too
pretty
long.
much. It's very suggestive.
It's just too much. All you have to do is show her in the shower and then you show the blood on the floor. That's all you need. You don't need her rubbing the soap over her breasts.
So what about the shower? What about the shot of the shower head?
Yeah.
The little phallic-looking nozzle. That was
it's symbolism, right?
It was the symbolism, but I mean,
it's that innocence of you can, when you're a little kid, you can have a bath and a shower or whatever, and it's all right. But then it just turns nasty. The music changes.
The whole scene just made me feel uncomfortable because even before that, you've got the girls in the dressing room, and like in a lot of horror movies, I know you get the boobs and stuff, and that's fine because a lot of time it's supposed to be playful. Yeah. This just felt really uncomfortable. The whole scene, I was just like, why are we... Like, they're high school girls. I know they're not. The actresses are probably of a different age. It just seems unnecessary.
I felt it did have a purpose. Obviously, the suggestiveness was very intentional. And then you see the other girls, and they're playfully running around with nothing on and, whipping each other with towels and things. They're all... They're comfortable with it. And she's just, again, on her own... And it just kind of goes into her own
everyone else is
world,
dressed.
basically. And then
she's still in the corner waiting for everybody to go so that she can have her turn.
Yeah, and then it gets very suggestive and.
I just thought it lingered a lot.
It did linger
unnecessarily.
I didn't know if the shower nozzle got me a little bit. I'm like, that's a bit much. It's like because it's a shot of her just with her face under it and rubbing it and whatever. Like,
yeah, and I've never seen a shower nozzle like that.
That's the steamiest.
It's coming out like it doesn't do that. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
That's why they lost him.
Straight up the back. And mate, I'm all for it. TNA, I'm a big proponent. It's just got to be done the right way. It just felt wrong. I felt dirty after her shower.
Staring at her non-eyebrows.
Yeah, she hasn't got eyelashes. I don't want to look at her boobs either now. Like, come on.
My first dislike was actually before that.
Ooh.
The volleyball game.
Yeah.
Okay, so she fucked it up at game point. Obviously, you're a little bit upset. But Chris just rolls over. He goes, "You ain't shit." And then goes into the
And also, it's not like the Western was setting the world on fire as volleyball players either. There wasn't any like really nice digs and sets going out there.
No, like fucking hell, we've all been there in the PE class where you're getting into it, you're a bit competitive, and then you lose it, but you're like, that's a bit much.
But also, we all know what it's like to lose it because you've got the kid on your team that no one wanted on their team.
Dude, it's not a good feeling.
Like, hit it at Blackie.
But
no,
look,
don't hit it at fucking Blackie. Oh, he's dropped it again.
I tell you, my go-to was I used to play. We used to play a lot of different sports. So we've come across this situation. My go-to was you pass it to that person or whatever, and they drop it. I just walk the other way and go, fuck. And then I'm like, next one. You got
it next time, Steve.
I get it out, I give it under the breath, and then I turn around like, yeah, you're right, mate, next one.
That explains why you're constantly walking away from me during the
Yeah. Now you know. Next time I start retreating to the other end of the court, you know what I'm doing. I thought it was a bit over the top. But again, like at that point, I was just like, fuck, it's over the top, cruel and mean.
Yeah.
But as I said, that kind of played into the strengths eventually for me because they kind of built up the isolation for her.
Yeah.
One element of the aging that was extremely bad, and Matty's already mentioned it, but it happened a couple of times, was during the gym detention. What was the music? What was the music? It sounded like it was like a sitcom theme on a church organ or something.
Yeah.
It's like going, wow, 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 wow.
It's very weird.
1, 2.
And then they did it again during the tuxes. They were like,
yeah, absolutely.
Where did this come from?
It just doesn't fit. No.
It was terrible.
But I think isn't that like the whole thing? You're setting up a horror movie, you're waiting for it to get psychotic, and you've got all this funny shit happening beforehand, and then when it turns wild, it gets wild.
It was just a bit. I think it was a little bit off. It just didn't.
I like cheesy stuff more than most people have sounds of things.
The best thing it did was that it slowed down with them when they were getting tired. I like that kind of element and how, but yeah, it just seemed too out of place.
Yeah.
Like I get what you're saying. It wasn't like they didn't think it was anything at that point.
Yeah.
And Chris is treating it like it is fucking nothing.
It's almost like a comedy to bits at school. The bits at school are like a comedy, and then I can see why the mum might have looked at it as being a black comedy, but then gets home and she's a psychopath.
Yep, definitely.
The mum was my next one.
You hated her.
Oh, dead set. Like, I'm not religious in any way, but I do think religion has a lot of positive things that it can have like on community and stuff like that, bringing people together and things like that. But then when you see stuff like this and some of the the cult things that you see, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because I firmly believe there's probably people out there that have this like same sort of level of devout belief and sort of subject their family to this sort of thing. It's just, I mean, this is probably blown out a little bit, but just the whole thing, like you're obviously sinning because your body's changing. Like, that's just so. And
don't you think it's just mental illness in the form?
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Religion as the front for all that.
I'm sure it is. But then you got stuff like intercourse is a sin. Well, how are we all here, you idiots? Like that sort of stuff. Just
it's not logical. It's not meant to be logical.
No,
I know.
I think that's part
crazy,
of it. Like it's that a lot of the teachings in the church and that aren't logical. So yeah, it was. There was a couple of scenes where it was so over the top that it was hard to cop.
Yeah.
And I think it did undermine it a tiny bit in parts. I was drifting back and forth. There was parts where I thought, nah, too much, but there was other parts where I was like, it was this constant back and forth, and I ended up settling on that the extremities of the performances kind of added to it in the end.
I thought Matty's got to have alluded to it too, but the fact that she hammed it up as much as she did probably took a little bit of the possible effect out of it.
The scary.
She was a little bit too cartoony to be threatening.
Yeah,
she was just annoying and whatever. She didn't ever seem threatening to me.
But the funny thing, the first time, I felt she was threatening in the house of the other person, where she's waiting to be, brought into the house and that. And in my head, at this point, as I said, it's been a long time since I watched this, and in my head I was thinking, fuck, you swear she's going to pull a knife on her, and maybe subconsciously, but part of me didn't even remember what happened down the stretch, and that's exactly what happened. So I was like, yeah, if she hadn't been as over the top as she was, would I have got that vibe from her? I've heard Julianne Moore's performance is very different, and I'm interested to see that.
I'd say they're very similar.
Oh, don't give it away.
No.
But she does more of the I'm just unhinged. She doesn't do the caricature thing as much.
No.
Which is probably why I prefer it.
Yep.
Sounds like that shift from It as well, I guess.
Yeah, a little bit. It's
clowns.
I probably prefer the new one, and then a lot of people are probably, that's sacrilege or whatever else. But I just think it does a lot of any of the good things that are in this are done the same, and then it just improves in a lot of other areas. Obviously, the effects stuff and whatever, they've got a big leg up there because it was pretty. I think it was 2013, was it, or 12?
Yeah, 2013. I think.
But I actually enjoyed watching it, where I can't say the same for this. So that's probably one indicator.
All right,
we'll have to get to that at some point.
You've mentioned this a little bit, and we've broached it on the scenes, but about 60 seconds after he's introduced, John Travolta is slapping his girlfriend and calling her a fuck. He says, "You fuck," and slaps her.
Mate, he's not the only one. In this movie, pretty much everyone that's in a position of authority over someone else hits him in the face at some point.
And the thing with him too is, as Matty said, it's highlighting that she's messing around with him, and she's like, you're a dumb shit or whatever, and then she's coming on to him, and then, no, you're a dumb shit. And he's like, don't call me a dumb shit. But he fucking slaps her 4 times.
Yeah.
And this is a high school kid. Times are very different, obviously.
Right.
It's just, it's confronting. It's really confronting to see, because it's not that far removed. In the scheme of things, it's one generation. So it's very confronting to watch something like that and go, is this shit really where we were at?
Yeah. I thought the teachers laying hands on kids was more of a fucking drama.
Yeah, but that was something I kind of expected, because we come from a generation. We come from a generation where our parents were getting smacked with rulers and things like that. So that part of it was kind of someone in a position of power. At the time, the social norm was, a bit of a slap, that's all right.
Yeah. But then, she's hysterical. Hit her in the face.
Yeah. Bit of the
accidental.
It actually worked though. That's the stupid part. Fuck.
A bit of the Sean Connery treatment.
Yeah.
It's the thing that shocked me was and it's basically, it shouldn't shock me, because the boy in the relationship at that time, position of power.
Yeah.
But this is a high school kid slapping around his girlfriend like it's nothing. We see him.
She
for
misspoke.
60 seconds.
Got this.
We see him for 60 seconds, and she calls him a dumb shit, and he's slapping her. I'm like, fuck, that's really confronting.
Is that trying to make a commentary though, that even though the cool kids have problems, or is that that's so dated?
Or
I just think it's a dated element.
He's the cool kid because he's just a fucking sociopath.
Yeah.
Everyone's scared of him for a reason. It's not because he's good at any one thing. He's just a fuckwit.
I think there was definitely an element to that, but that was coming through in the way that he couldn't do anything except fucking smile and nod
and dribble
and then
himself.
Talk, and then she calls him a dumb shit, and he gets so upset about being called a dumb shit because he is a dumb shit.
Yeah.
That's kind of where that came in,
and I think too close to home.
Yeah, I think the slapping around sort of seemed to just be that's the 70s.
But even
I don't know.
the teacher, when she slaps her in the shower, the girl's hysterical, whatever, she's trying to snap her out of it.
Gives her a good one.
Then at the detention, when Chris walks up to her, she just fucking lays her out too. Like, the teacher's first instinct is to just lay hands on kids.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's pretty. It's a very far removed, I guess.
Yeah.
We hope.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's kind of a similar vein, but the old school mentality pops up again, where if you get told no, I don't want to go to the prom, you just keep pestering until it's a yes.
Cool story, religious girl.
Yeah,
How about if I ask you again?
Exactly, yeah.
Or if you're clearly about to be hysterical because your mum's coming and you don't want her to know there's a boy here, and I'm going to keep waiting and just force you to say yes.
Yeah, you told me no. What's my next step? I'm going to turn up to your house.
But do you know who I am? I'm the quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Can't say no to me.
It's it's again. I think that's just a sign of the times. That was normal. That's the bloody MO of. Oh yeah, I really like this girl, and she said no, but I'm just going to keep asking.
It's the Rocky treatment.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's just don't take that into account that you might actually be harassing someone that is not into you at all.
And then just the implications for her are pretty big. If the mum does figure out what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's legitimate reason for her saying no, and even though it's not necessarily something that she wants, it is.
That was probably one of my dislikes, is how ignorant everybody is of her situation. Like, surely there's somebody, like, I don't know, maybe it's just because these days there's lots of weird kids
saying like, it's not her fault, her mum's crazy,
Yeah.
she's kind of, she's stuck there.
Yeah, there's no education around that. I guess it obviously facilitates the film, but it just seems like, I guess you still have those people these days, but and you get those loners or whatever, and everyone's educated, but they still exist. Like I don't know, just it felt a little bit ignorant.
Just reminded me of one of the mum's just absolute classic lines as well. Really enlightened stuff when she's talking to her about when she's going to go to the prom, and the mum's like, "Oh, now that you've got your period, the boys are coming sniffing around trying to find where that smell's coming from." I'm like, Jesus Christ, mum.
Yeah,
like, I had a shower, everything's fine, thanks.
Just lay off, please.
It's just too. It's just gross. Like, it reminded me of the Ron Burgundy line, like, the bears can smell a menstruation. Like, really? That's what the boys are now. They're bears.
Yeah,
it's weird.
It was a bit weird. There's a few elements that are a little bit weird.
The whole sex as sin thing just seems weird to me. I get the whole out of wedlock and stuff if you want to go down that road, but so I just the mum's just, she makes everything really hard to watch. I think I just don't like anything that she does really. Humans need we need reproduction, lady. I don't know. You can't really call it sin. It's just weird.
Yep.
How good's her monologue though, when she's going off about the husband or the boyfriend or whatever it was? He had whiskey on his breath, and I liked it.
So are we thinking that they were both really devout, and he got drunk one night and decided now's the time to?
I just pictured her going out with Colonel Sanders. Like, it must have been.
It sounded like, that's what it sounded like.
I just had about 20,000 really bad jokes just pop into my head. I'll keep them to myself.
Something about chicken tenders or something?
No, way more KFC centric than that. They've got a few catchphrases, if you know what I mean.
Right. Moving on. No, that was it. Definitely came across that way. That it was like the husband was more of your line of thinking, and then came home on the sauce, and being 7, he's probably forced the issue a little bit, and pestered, and when she said no, just said, "Oh, come on."
Smell my breath, you'll like it.
So that was that was probably the height of her overacting.
Yeah, well, that's a fair call. That's a fair call.
It definitely was.
But it was, I the movie wouldn't have been as good if she wasn't like that, I don't think. But just,
she's just unsettling. It's just the...
Yeah.
And I get, she is a caricature, but it is unsettling the way she acts. And the fact is there's people out there like that.
Very much so. Anything else, Colonel?
Well, it's supposedly a horror movie.
Yeah.
there's not a single thing scary in this movie anyway.
It's not super scary, no.
Yeah.
Not-
70
it's
standards,
not
though.
any-
Yeah. It's
They were still figuring out how to do it back then.
yeah. The end sequence is really cool, but it's not scary
No.
at all.
Nothing scary. Like, the mum's probably supposed to be the scariest thing about it.
But I think that's a lot of Stephen King too. Some of his stuff is not as overtly scary as something like It. You know, something like Misery. Misery's similar. Misery doesn't have a lot of those scenes where you're just like, this is flat out.
There's a lot more...
Misery's not really horror, I guess.
No, but there's a lot more tension in Misery, though. Like when there's bits when he's trying to escape or whatever, and you see her, she's coming back in the car, and you're all on the edge of your seat. There's nothing like that here.
No.
The closest they get to it is when Sue is leaning, looking around the side of the stage, and she feels the rope moving.
Yeah.
And she sort of... all she had to do was stand there and hold the rope so that they couldn't pull the bucket.
I was thinking
Problem
that the whole
solved.
time. Yep.
Like, anyway, but so that was the closest you had to have any kind of suspense or anything like that. And it just doesn't get there.
Yeah.
He's actually said that it's, when he wrote it, it wasn't meant to be a horror. It's more a play on power, the church's power,
Well, that makes
women's
more
power,
sense.
kids' power, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Helplessness and that sort of thing. There's just a setting for those themes.
When are they going to make a movie, The Long Walk? The Long Walk is one of his best ones, I reckon. That would be good. Give it to Frank Darabont.
Yes.
I'd like to see
Yes, and yes.
Yep. Anything else there?
Nah, like I said, I sort of stopped just taking notes. I was just bored.
Okay.
It didn't
Fair
warrant.
enough.
It didn't warrant my time.
Different strokes for different folks, I guess.
We've had a lot of this lately, though.
We have. It's all right. That's, a little bit of tension, a little bit of... it's where the drama comes into things. If we all agreed, what sort of fun would we be having? All right, so if you want to get in touch with us, the usual channels, Podomatic, the Thrill Me Podcast Australia Facebook page, or the email address thrillme@iinet.net.au. Feel free to get in touch with us about anything, about the subpar quality of our podcasting, if you please. Next couple of episodes, we're going to rewind the tape and do the same two movies, but the remakes.
It'll be
Conan.
significantly better, I'd imagine.
Conan and Carrie, the 2000... What was Conan, 2014?
Something like that. It's around the same time.
Carrie was 2013, but we're gonna wind it back, do the same two movies, a bit of compare and contrast, which should be good.
See which ones we enjoy more.
Yeah.
I've got a fair idea.
Yeah, I've got an idea which one you're going to enjoy more, but I haven't seen... I've seen Conan, I haven't seen Carrie, so I'm looking forward to checking that out.
I think you'll enjoy it.
I haven't seen either.
Oh, you'll be in for a treat.
Conan's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yep. But until then, take it easy and we'll catch you later.
Find the podcast at Podomatic or on iTunes. Don't forget to rate and review. Like us on Facebook at Thrill Me Podcast Australia, or contact us at thrillme, all one word, all lowercase, at iinet.net.au.